epic was that intro? If you want to see more footage like that, do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. But for now, let's jump to the review. When Apollo sat down to design the all-new Apollocity, they had one goal in mind: helping you reconquer your city. And what emerged is incredible, almost unrecognizable from the white, blue and black color scheme of its predecessor. The new city channels a futuristic space gray palette that's evocative of the alluring finish you often see on iPhones. The new city deviates from the original model by coming in two variations, one with a single 48 volt 500 watt motor and the other with dual motors. In this review, we'll be putting the single motor version under the microscope. In line with the rest of Apollo's models, the new city hasn't been built to top the ego-driven charts of both speed and range. Instead, it's been carefully designed with meticulous attention to deliver a well-rounded balance of performance across all of the critical areas that we, at Electric Scooter Insider, pay special attention to when testing scooters. Everything from the custom proprietary frame, which cost Apollo an eye-watering amount to make, to the integration of its many features, including a mobile app that unlocks extra layers of personalization, self-healing tires, an IPX5 water resistance rating, powerful regen brakes, a sublime one-click folding mechanism, and the best turn signals we've ever tested, all combined to push the frontiers of the congested commuter scooter category into exciting new dimensions. And to deliver the city's piece de resistance is build quality. Welcome to Electric Scooter Insider. I'm Josh and I've been reviewing electric scooters for the last few years, and it's my mission to help you find the right scooter. So if you're here because you want the most substantial, complete and comprehensive review of the Apollocity 2022, then sit back, strap in and enjoy. In this review, we're going to cover 9 key areas. Who is it best for? The pros and cons, the comparison between that old city and the new 2022 version, its value for money, alternatives, design, ride quality, performance and safety, and then we'll end with the extra features. What's in a name? Well, when it comes to the Apollocity, pretty much everything, as its moniker implies, the city was made in the city, for the city. In the saturated commuter scooter category, it can at times be difficult to decipher which model is right for your needs. While there's a range of good scooters to choose from, the city emerges like a phoenix rising from the ashes of its predecessor, carving out its own lane. Unlike the majority of the models that are in the running for space in our coveted commute scooter recommendations, the City is just one of a handful that leaves old school scooter design of OEM production behind to deliver a model whose custom design ensures that every detail is intent on optimizing the scooter for urban environments. And for those of you that are wondering what an OEM is, OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. This is defined as a company whose goods are used as components in the products of another company, which then sells the finished item to the end users. So, for example, the old Apollocity was an OEM model. It shared the same mass-made frame as the 09. These frames were then kitted out with different batteries and styled with their respective branding to give them their distinct aesthetic. So what does all of this mean for you? Well, if you want a scooter that has been purpose built for city riding and balances performance with build quality, features and low maintenance, then the Apollocity 2022 will be a great match for you. However, if the City's premium price tag is a little too much for you to bear, you may want to opt for a cheaper model that can still get you from A to B, but without the added luxuries of what the City offers. Let's start with the good stuff. First up, it has a proprietary design that delivers great build quality. It also has a robust yet sleek frame. It has ergonomic controls, making it a joy to ride. It has the best turn signals we've ever tested, a super simple one-click folding mechanism with zero stem wobble. It has those tubeless self-healing tyres which ensure convenience and durability. Its larger than normal tyres also increase handling and the ability to manoeuvre, especially carving side to side. Aesthetically, it has the wow factor. It has an IPX5 water resistance rating, a fast charging port that allows you to charge it up in just 4.5 hours. It's low maintenance, and it has the high mounted headlight, which is actually bright enough for nighttime rides. It also has a battery management system that ensures the long-term health of your battery and an integrated mobile app for customized performance. Now for the cons, well, it's outpaced by similarly priced models, but the apollocity has build quality on its side. There's also slight wobble in the hand grips, but this can be fixed by tightening them up and adding Loctite. And this isn't to be confused with wobble in the stem, that thing is rock solid. And the final con here is that the folding hook tends to fall out of the latch on the back of the deck when folded, but not when being lifted. Whether you'll find value in the latest version of the apollocity depends on what your priorities are. If those priorities are build quality, premium design and low maintenance, then the apollocity will be for you. And if you value user experience above all, you'll love the City, particularly its intuitive screen and mobile app. But make no mistake, across many of the main performance metrics, the City does at times fall short of its competition. When compared to the rest of the scooters in its price class, it's considerably outperformed for both speed and range. But Apollo is aware of this. Their intention was not to build a scooter that they could pack as much power with, but to focus more on how the new City could satisfy the needs of those riders who are hell-bent on getting value from the overall package. And if we narrow down our view to the lineup of the scooters in the commuter bracket, the City has more than achieved this. Small details separate good from great, and the apollocity resides in the latter. Take, for example, the parts of its design that aren't even visible to the eye and that Apollo aren't even shouting about. Two of these are its fast 3 amp charger that makes charging the new City approximately 50% faster than the previous model. And the battery management system that monitors the battery pack to protect it from damage, prolong its life and keep the battery operating within its safety limits. These functions are key to efficiency, reliability and safety. The new apollocity replaces the original version of the same name. But though these scooters share the same moniker, they're entirely different beasts. So let's take a look at the key points of comparison. Now, because there's so much information to include here, I've made 2 tables to make it easier to digest. The first table, which you'll see now, gives you an overview of the performance specs. I'll leave this on the screen for a couple more seconds so you can pause it and then take a look at it. Then the second table, which you can now see, compares design elements. As you can see, both the apollocity 2022 single and dual motor versions are significantly different from the old City. When it comes to the 2 versions of the 2022 model though, the only differences here lie in the motors, top speed, incline rate, weight and the price. What other scooters should you consider? Well, if your priority is speed and power, we suggest taking a look at the Apollo Ghost. It offers an extra 6 miles per hour of speed and 14 miles of range, but keeps all the design, dynamism and durable trimmings of the Apollo range intact. Similarly, it's a great option for heavier riders thanks to its large load-bearing capacity. Now, the Apollo Ghost is available in the US for $1,499 and you can pick it up in the UK for the same price in terms of £1,499. Now, it has a top speed of 34 miles per hour, a maximum range of 39 miles, it weighs 64 pounds and it can support 300 pounds. So why is it better than the new apollocity? Well, as just mentioned, it has a higher top speed, so you're going to get an extra 6 miles per hour on top of what the City can give you. You also have the the more powerful dual 52 volt 800 watt motors versus the apollocity's single 48 volt 500 watt motor, and this actually results in a 43% faster acceleration rate to 15 miles per hour. The Ghost also offers a 14-mile longer range. It supports 80 pounds more rider weight. It has the foldable handlebars and more powerful brakes, and overall it has a smoother suspension which allows it to be terrain agnostic, and because of its increased power from those motors, it is also a superior hill climber, so you're going to be able to climb hills of up to 25 degrees. Now, why is it worse than the apollocity? Well, the first thing here is that it's 6.2 pounds heavier. It also doesn't share the same luxuries as the City. For example, it doesn't have turn signals, there's no integrated mobile app, it doesn't have the one-click folding mechanism, and it doesn't have the self-healing tires, so that may be something you want to consider. And generally speaking, the Apollo Ghost requires more maintenance than the City. Alternatively, if the Ghost maybe isn't quite the right fit for you, you could opt for the eMove Cruiser. With a wealth of extra features primed for commuting and a cheaper price point, it's a great alternative if you want to save a little money and get a model that prioritizes range. So the eMove Cruiser has a top speed of 30 miles per hour. It has a maximum range of 62 miles. It weighs 52 pounds and it can support a massive 352 pounds of rider weight. Now, why is it better than the apollocity? Well, first of all, you're going to save $100. It has a slightly higher top speed, a more powerful 52 volt 1000 watt motor, and this is responsible for its 15% faster acceleration to 15 miles per hour. And then there's no contesting the fact that the eMove Cruiser's primary sort of focus and value that it can give you is in its range, and so you're going to get an extra 37 miles of range over what the City can give you. It also has that superior load capacity, so it can support up to 132 pounds more rider weight than the City, and it has a telescopic stem, foldable handlebars which enable sort of enhanced portability. Then just a few other ones here. It's a little bit lighter, so around 6 pounds lighter, and it has more powerful brakes. Why is it worse than the apollocity? Well, first of all, it has inferior build quality. There's also wiggle room in the hand grips. The turn signals aren't as bright or as good, and although the deck on the eMove Cruiser is a good size, there's no place to really rest your foot at the back, so there's no footrest or kick plate, which hinders ride quality a little bit. It also doesn't share the same luxuries, so you don't get the integrated mobile app or one-click folding mechanism or the self-healing tires, and like the Apollo Ghost, there is more maintenance required. Now, if you like the idea of having a scooter that matches the apollocity for build quality and design prowess, but has a more compact folded frame, then the Innokim Quick 4 is worth considering. The Innokim Quick 4 is available in the US for $1,499, and in the UK you can pick it up for around £1,199. Now, it has a top speed of 25 miles per hour, a maximum range of 43 miles, it weighs just 47 pounds, and it can support up to 220 pounds of rider weight. So why is it better than the apollocity? Really, this just comes down to three things. First off, it's going to give you 18 miles extra range because of its bigger and more powerful battery. Secondly, it's 10 to 11 pounds, I think exactly 10.8 pounds lighter than the City, and it has a much more compact folded frame thanks to its telescopic stem and foldable handlebars, which make it much better if you need a scooter that is super portable. So why is it worse than the apollocity? Well, it has a small deck which hinders the ride quality. There's also no water resistance rating, and although the lights turn on automatically when it's dark out, they aren't strong enough for riding at night, so you'll need to buy extras to attach to the scooter. And again, like the other scooters mentioned, it doesn't quite share the same luxuries as the apollocity, so you don't get turn signals, there's no mobile app, and again, you don't get that one-click folding mechanism or the self-healing tires. Now for the final alternative. If you have your eyes firmly set on the apollocity but wish it had a little bit more power, the dual motor version is the one for you. So the apollocity 2022 dual motor version is going to retail in the US for $1,699. It has a top speed of 32 miles per hour, a maximum range of 25 miles, it weighs 62.2 pounds, and it can support up to 220 pounds. So why is it better than the apollocity single motor version? Well, it has those more powerful dual 48 volt 500 watt motors, and as a result a faster acceleration and superior hill climbing capabilities, where it can climb an extra 5 degrees on an incline. But why is it worse than the apollocity single version? Well, this really just comes down to, one, it's going to cost you $200 more, and two, it's ever so slightly heavier. One of the many things that we love about the Apollo range is that they're not just high performance scooters, they look good too. Just take a look at the City's handlebars, sharing the same flowing, slightly upswept design as those on their sibling, the Apollo Air Pro. They double as both ergonomic and easy on the eye. The handlebars are also significantly wider and taller than those on the Air Pro. The seismic difference in these dimensions delivers a riding experience that inspires more confidence and aids the overall handling, as well as being better suited to taller riders. The handlebars are also where you'll control just about every aspect of your scooter: your speed, brakes, riding mode and turn signals. With the thumb throttle to your right and the electric regenerative brake paddle to your left, both coated in a wavy veneer of grippy rubber, their placement and design makes them both smooth to operate. Alongside the already ergonomic form of the handlebars, the integrated scooter controls on either side of the cockpit allow you to turn the scooter on or off, engage either of the turn signals and select the riding mode within reach of your thumbs. I'm a particular fan of the left and right turn signal buttons. We've seen similar integrations on Fluid Freeride City Rider and some of the VSET scooters, but the apollocity takes the functionality of its turn signals up to an entirely new level, but more on this later in the review. Then adorning either side of the cockpit are the two brake levers. While these play an important role in ensuring that there are mechanical brakes to back up the regen brake, they could benefit from better modulation. On a similar note, we did notice some wobble in the hand grips, fortunately not the stem, but this can be easily fixed by tightening the screw holding these in place and, if necessary, applying Loctite to keep them secure. And while the grips are covered in a rubber sleeve, it would have been nice for them to have a more ergonomic shape like those on the Apollo Ghost. Last but by no means least, a savvy LED display adorns the middle of the handlebars. Seamlessly integrated into the aluminum mold, it sits flush to keep with the City's sleek design. It's not often that a scooter brand's CTO takes it upon themselves to design a new model, but that's exactly what happened with the City. Sporting a pristine proprietary design that's unique to Apollo, this latest model differs significantly from the original. The first City was an OEM production unit, and therefore it shared its design with other scooters, notably the 09. The new City, however, isn't content to share. It carves out its own distinctive identity. Put simply, the finish is unlike anything we've ever come across in the Apollo line so far. Before this, the City was draped in a blue, black and white design, in contrast to the newer Apollo models, think the Air Pro, Ghost and Phantom, which all instead channeled a sleek, muted tone. The frame of the latest City takes a completely new direction, with a grey colourway interacting dynamically with the vibrant highlights of orange. Picture a space grey iPhone and you're not too far off the City's bodywork. The handlebars aren't the only aspect of the new City's design that borrows heavily from the Apollo Air Pro. The deck does too. With an elegant, upswept shape reminiscent of a penny skateboard, the deck tapers at the rear to a carry handle. This comes in handy both when lifting and transporting the scooter, and also serves as a kick plate, giving you extra foot room and control while traveling at speed and braking. Coating the deck surface is a patina of grippy rubber. Sporting an eye-catching design of concentrated semicircles, think ripples flowing out from a splash from a stone in a pond, the deck keeps you safe and secure and looks good doing it. Aside from its formidable form, the deck has been built to ensure the scooter withstands the test of time, and we see that in the deck's minor touches. The kickstand, for instance, retracts into a cavity on the underside of the deck, preventing it from protruding out and picking up damage. Similarly, the charging port is embedded into the deck and covered with a plastic lid to prevent curb sideswiping and breakage. And of course, we can't fail to mention the turn signals, which sit flush to the rear of the deck, wrapping around the sides and the rear in a conveniently arrow-shaped form. The tyres of the all-new Apollocity upgrade both the comfort and convenience levels of its predecessor. At 10 by 3.5 inches, the tyres sport an inflated profile, giving the scooter a more relaxed feeling than the 8.5 times 2 inch tyres of the original model. The tyres are also tubeless and self-healing, meaning they're less likely to pick up punctures and require zero maintenance. Thanks to a layer of gel-like sealant lining the inner edge of the tyre, this particular innovation allows you to keep riding even if a 2-inch nail penetrates the tyre. Once the nail is pulled out, the gel, otherwise known as tyre slime, gets to work by filling the cavity to prevent air from escaping. This is the same technology that we've seen being used on the no-flat tyres of the Daltron Thunder 2 and the Wolf King GT. Now, Apollo recommends pumping the tyres up to a pressure of 45 psi, but I found this to be a little bit stiff. For a more plush feel, I suggest lowering the pressure to around 40 psi. But remember, this is based on a 165 pound rider. If you weigh towards the upper limits of the 220 pound weight limit that the Apollocity can take, then you probably want to keep them around 45 psi. You may have noticed that the Apollocity's price tag is relatively high when compared to its rivals. However, this is not just a product of good marketing. There are reasons for the price tag, and one of them is the prestigious levels of build quality that the City comes with. Just as Inokim places a premium on their scooters as a result of their excellent build and ride quality, Apollo has done the same for the City, and rightly so. Made from tough as nails forged space grade aluminium alloy, the frame has also been anodized. This means that through an electrochemical process, the scooter's frame has been made to resist corrosion and general wear and tear, so it's quite literally built to last. With an IPX5 water resistance rating up its sleeve and current tests in place to see if it passes the IPX6 mark, this City comes on leaps and bounds from its previous IP54 rating and is well equipped to handle most environmental conditions. Just as we highlighted in our review of the Apollo Air Pro, this City follows suit, avoiding the clunky style that many scooters in the commuter bracket have, with curved lines, flush finishes and a design that flows from one section to the next. From the deck embedded charging port to the retractable hook and kickstand, the City has been cut from a clever, calculated cloth with a design engineered to keep the profile of the frame as clean as possible, while also serving as a good way to keep it in good health. Smaller details like the cable management further pay tribute to the well thought out build. It's also clear that in designing the City, Apollo has taken some inspiration from one of their other models, the Ghost. The City sports similar fenders to its spooky sibling, which are ideal for keeping water splashes off your back in less agreeable conditions. These fenders are, however, made of hard plastic with aluminum supports as opposed to being solely aluminum. As always though, there is room for improvement. As previously mentioned, during our test we noticed that the hand grips became a little loose after we had put the City through its paces on a cobble street to test its suspension. We fed this back to Apollo, and while it's an easy DIY fix by just tightening the screws up, we had confirmation that this will not happen on the units that will be sold at retail. It's also important to note here that we have a model that was handmade and is one of the first of its kind. All of the small kinks will be ironed out for the retail units. One way in which the new City models differ from their ancestor is in how much they weigh. The single motor version adds 18.8 pounds of bulk to the original model, weighing in at 57.8 pounds, while the dual motor model adds an extra 7.2 pounds onto that, making it a whopping 26 pounds heavier than the original Apollocity. The main culprit for the increased weight comes as a result of the new frame, which by our calculations is approximately 7% larger in stature. Then you've also got to consider that the new, more robust tubular stem replaces the thin telescopic stem that was on the original City. When it comes to load, the new City supports riders up to 220 pounds. For most riders this will be sufficient, but for those that are heavier, either the Apollo Ghost with its 300 pound load capacity or the E-Move Cruiser with its 352 pound load capacity are worth considering. The City is super simple to fold and pack away. It folds neatly in half at the stem courtesy of an intuitive one-click folding mechanism, which I have to say is the best we've ever tested. The safety mechanism comes with an inbuilt safety button too, and this prevents the latch from uncoupling when confronted with jarring shocks or vibrations and helps keep the stem upright and rock solid and you safe. During our test rides, there wasn't so much as a suggestion of stem wobble, just a secure, stable ride guaranteed. Like the Apollo Air Pro, the City sports a small folding hook at the top of the stem, which, when the scooter is folded, connects to a small latch at the rear of the deck. Not only does this hook make it easier to lift the City, but it's also superbly subtle. The hook retracts seamlessly into a cavity at the top of the stem, so it doesn't interfere with the City's flowing, fabulous aesthetic. However, the hook tends to fall out of the latch when being folded, and I found that placing the hook through the carry handle does a better job of keeping the handlebars from swinging off to one side. Ride quality is rarely an area in which Apollo scooters disappoint, and the City stays true to form. Its large plush tubeless tyres provide a large contact patch with the ground. With lots of rubber meeting the road and 40 to 45 psi's worth of air cushioning you from the impact of less predictable terrain, the City serves up a fun riding experience that makes carving from side to side feel awesome. Combined with the springs and swing arms, sizable handlebars and ergonomic controls, the City is well and truly primed for urban environments. You can even adjust things like the top speed, as well as the strength of its acceleration and regen brakes to suit your preferences. Now, a key upgrade in ride quality from its predecessor comes in the form of stability. The new folding mechanism and one-piece stem are responsible here. There's better weight distribution, which gives you more control over the front end of the scooter. How fast you can go on the Apollocity will depend on the model that you've selected and how many motors it has. So for the single motor, you have a max top speed of 28 miles per hour, whereas the dual will give you up to 32 miles per hour. So how does the 28 miles per hour top speed of the single motor version compare with the rest of the electric scooter industry when it comes to price and weight? Let's find out. Let's apply a $500 price range, taking into account 24 comparable models to the City's $1,499 price tag to find out how its speed stacks up. As you can see from the table, the single motor City places in the lower end of the rankings. This is because its price tag is more aligned with the dual motor models that dominate the list. So what can we take away from this? Well, the Apollocity doesn't come cheap, but is the extra outlay justified? The City wasn't made for blistering speeds, but instead a well-balanced scooter whose every component has been crafted so you'll enjoy riding through the city. You're buying the result of hundreds of hours of research and refinement, all of which culminate in one of the most reliable scooters on the market. But before we move on, it is worth giving a quick shout out to the fastest scooter in the city's price category, the Mantis V2. Available for the same price as the City dual motor version, the V2 serves up a scorching 40 miles per hour of top speed from its dual 60 volt 1000 watt motors. Yet while the Mantis V2 and the Apollocity share the same table, these scooters are in entirely different leagues and serve entirely different purposes. The Mantis is great for burning rubber and hitting off-road trails, while the City is made for commuters. For riders that are fans of the Apollo line but want to crank the speed dial up a couple of notches, I'll suggest either checking out the dual motor version of the Apollocity or the Apollo Ghost. If we take the 11 comparable models that sit within £5 on either side of the Apollocity's 57.8 pounds of weight, then we get a treasure trove of scooters to compare it to. But how do these scooters weigh up against the City for pace? As you can see, the Apollocity single motor version is beaten by the roster of the VSET 9 Plus lineup and the Mantis 8 Pro, which all share first place. The Apollocity dual motor version, however, follows suit with its 32 miles per hour top speed. The Apollocity doesn't exactly come charging out of the blocks. It's more of a regular ball than a raging one, but this is to be expected. The City comes fitted with just a single 48 volt 500 watt motor after all, so its acceleration was never going to be able to compete with its fiery dual motor counterparts. Here's how the City compares to our recommended alternative scooters. As you can see, the Apollo Ghost outpaces the City with an acceleration rate that is 43% faster to 15 miles per hour. This is as a result of its dual 52 volt 800 watt motors, which dwarf the City's smaller 48 volt 500 watt single motor. Similarly, the eMove Cruiser and its more powerful 52 volt 1000 watt motor delivers more brute force than the City off the line. Surprisingly though, the City beats the Innokim Quick 4 despite the Innokim having a larger 52 volt 600 watt motor. Both the single and dual motor versions of the Apollocity share the same 48 volt 13.5 amp battery and are capable up to 25 miles for maximum range off a single charge. Let's explore how that figure compares to the rest of the market when it comes to the metrics of price and weight. Marketing is a fine thing, but at times it can be misleading. Unlike other brands, Apollo isn't keen to showboat or inflate their maximum mileage figures in the hopes of drawing more interest. The figures that Apollo puts out are modest. What you're promised is what you get. So, with this in mind, let's take a look at how the real-world mileage of the City compares to other models in its price class. The real-world mileage of the Apollocity beats 77% of the models in its price class. It even beats models that seemingly have longer ranges, including those which have manufacturer-stated 40-mile maximum ranges. Plus, if we just focus on commuter style scooters, then the real world mileage of the Apollocity beats 71% of comparable models in its price class. As a result, it's a top performer in its niche. What's important to consider here is quality. Luckily, the City has been equipped with 21700 battery cells, the same cells that have been used in Tesla's electric cars. In brief, these hold a greater density of energy than the 18650 cells which are used in many other scooters. The result is more efficient battery use per ride. Combined with the battery management system, the City has been engineered to deliver peak performance for many years. But of course, we can't ignore the impressive range of the eMove Cruiser. Available for $100 less than the City and sporting more than double its range, the Cruiser's 62-mile dominance comes as no surprise. Its battery is large, coming in at 52 volts and 30 amps, and high quality being LG. So if range is what you're after, go for the Cruiser. Returning to the 11 comparable models in the city's weight bracket is the Inokim Ox Super snatching the gold. With a huge 60 volt 21 amp LG battery, no comparison can really be made to the apollocity here. If you want Herculean range, excellent build quality and sublime ride quality, the Inokim is hard to look past. The Inokim Ox does, however, lack features like the self-healing tyres, fast charging and mobile app to customize your riding experience, as well as the city's fantastic regen brake, which captures the energy lost from braking and recharges your battery on the go. While the apollocity's marketing materials claim that the single motor version can cope with maximum inclines of up to 15 degrees, our test shown that when you venture above 10 degrees, the ride starts to become sluggish. This is pretty standard for the size and power of the motor on offer. Fortunately, this is still enough for the city to handle the vast majority of urban inclines with ease. If you live in a particularly hilly area, the dual motor version of the city will be a better choice. Sporting a spring and swing arm combo, the suspension setup represents a huge improvement over its predecessor. While the original City paired a vertically aligned front spring at the bottom of the stem with two horizontally aligned dual springs at the rear, the new version combines newly positioned springs with swing arms. The new setup delivers considerably more shock absorption. By securing one side of each swing arm in place to the main frame of the scooter and attaching the other to the wheel to allow free movement, the swing arm pivots up and down vertically. Ultimately, the swing arms endow it with a better ability to absorb the rattling impacts of bumps and cracks in the road. During our test rides, we found that the rear of the suspension was a little bit stiffer than the one at the front, although we're confident that this will become more responsive over time after we've used the scooter more. Ultimately, the suspension setup is ideal for urban terrain. For context, it sits neatly between the Apollo Air Pro and the Apollo Ghost where shock absorption is concerned. The Air Pro can handle roads and streets but only has front fork suspension, meaning residual vibrations can be felt. The City, on the other hand, soaks up the vibrations that would have otherwise been felt on the Air Pro, and then while the Ghost spring and swing arm combination looks similar to that on the City, it has a more responsive feel and therefore has more travel, meaning it can tackle street and light off-road terrain with ease. While the dual drum brakes, which replace the disc and drum combo on the original City, aren't as strong as we were hoping them to be, the regen brake serves as an excellent upgrade. It's both super easy to use and strong enough to control your pace mid-ride. Using the drum brakes and regen brake together brings you to a stop in 3.4 meters from 15 miles per hour. And for context, we consider a braking distance of between 3 and 3.4 meters to be good, so the City performs well here. To see how this compares to the old City and the rest of the Apollo lineup, check out this table. We put the slight difference in braking distance between the old City and the new model down to the increased weight of the latter. Here, the 2022 model has more momentum that needs to be slowed. The apollocity takes just 4.5 hours to reach a full charge thanks to its 3 amp fast charging port. Unlike other brands, Apollo won't make you pay for a fast charger, instead they provide one in the box. Integrated into the center of the handlebar console is a slick LED display. Aesthetically, it ticks all the boxes. It doesn't protrude awkwardly or disrupt the scooter's flow, and its glowing Nixie tubes look beautiful. Crucially, the display is functional as well. It's bright and easy to read even in direct sunlight, but what does the display tell you? Well, along with your speed and battery life, the screen lets you know of any issues with your scooter in the form of failure displays, which help when it comes to repair or replacement. Icons on the console also pop up when your lights are on and when you've engaged your turn signals. This latter feature is super useful as it means you won't ever accidentally leave your indicators on. The screen also lets you know what riding mode you're in, and the city has 3 riding modes to choose from. No icon on the screen indicates that you're traveling in eco, then a green S means you're in comfort mode, and the red S stands for sport. Pairing the city with the apolloscooters mobile app unlocks extra layers of personalization. From the app, which is available for both Android and iOS, you can adjust the strength of the scooter's regenerative brake and acceleration, toggle with its gears, cruise control and kick to start function, and even place a cap on its top speed. On top of all of this, there's an inbuilt navigation system as well as the option to enable a digital lock. When engaged, the electronic brake causes resistance when pushing the scooter. The data heads out there will also love the ride analytics screen, while everyone will appreciate the regular software updates that keep the app up to date. Like the LED display, its headlight has been seamlessly integrated into the stem. Sat just under the handlebars, it's surprisingly bright and easily enables you to ride at night. A responsive tail light is perched at the top of the rear fender and flashes when you squeeze the brakes. But the real piece de resistance of the lighting display is its pair of turn signals. As you may already know, turn signals are a rare sight on electric scooters, and good turn signals are even rarer. Not only does the LED display inform you of when the turn signals are engaged via left or right flashing arrows, they also beep while in use and auto turn off after 10 seconds. These indicators are super bright, and because they wrap around the sides and the rear of the scooter, they can be seen from both the side and the back. Simply put, they are the best that we have ever tested. Bravo, Apollo. And that's the review of the Apollocity 2022. If you like what you saw, you can either pick it up by scanning this QR code here or clicking the links in the description. I'll also make sure to provide links for all of the scooters that I recommend as alternatives. And if you need any more information, why not come over to electricscooterinsider.com and take a look at our reviews and guides. If you found value from this review, do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe to become an electric scooter insider. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.